Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. Glad to have you back. We're going to talk about our connection with our audience today. And I just want to have a talk with you. Just you and me. About your podcast, about podcasting in general. I just want to have some time with you. And I'm glad you're here. Thank you for pressing play. When we create our podcast, sometimes we're so focused on our content and the delivery of our content and the show notes and the artwork and the commitment to meet a target date to release our episode and connecting with our guest and emails and website updates and on and on and on and on. We go episode to episode, content to content, and we just keep plugging away. And at one point, we're just like, when was the last time I talked to my audience as if it was just me and them? Like the two of us, like we're doing right now. When was the last time I set aside the script and spoke to my audience as if you were like right here with me? When was the last time you've done that? And I have to admit, I haven't done that as much as I probably should. There's many opportunities for me to just create another episode and put it out there. And I'm happy with the results. I'm happy you're listening. I'm super happy that you're connecting with the content, and it's encouraging you to take that next step, whatever that is for you and your podcast. But are we more focused on the content and drifting away from the person who's listening to the show? I just wanted to spend some time with you today and kind of reconnect, refocus on the fact that without you, there's really no point in doing this show. Like, there's no reason for me to hit record if you're not going to be here. So if I'm more focused on my content and less focused on you, am I really serving you as a listener? Or am I more self-serving, or am I serving my content, or am I serving my sponsor who pays me to do a podcast, which I don't have a sponsor? But what is it, like, who is my main focus of who I'm serving with my show? We talk a lot about our why we're doing our show, and who's it for. But why are we serving our audience? Why are we showing up for that person that presses play? Do you know the answer to that question for your show? Do you know why you're doing it, and why you want your episode to serve that person who's here right now? And I would say from my interactions with amazing podcasters like you, that it's not always top of mind. For some people, it definitely is, but I wouldn't say the majority of people think first about how this episode's going to serve my audience above just creating the content and moving forward with the next episode. But when you start batching your episodes, you start recording multiple at one time, you're like just plugging through and done. Done is better than perfect. And off we go. Bang, bang, bang. At the end of the day, somebody's going to be listening to this. And I'm just wondering if the bond is still strong when you started your podcast to where you are today with your podcast. And where's the connection level between you and your audience? Curious. It's just the idea that as podcasters, I think we lose sight sometimes in all of the things that we do around our podcast, that sometimes the audience kind of blends into the background a little bit. We become performers. We become actors as podcasters. We show up, we hit the mic, we do our thing, we do our little song and dance, post it to our hosting site, and off we go with our day. Thinking less and less about the person who presses play. So my challenge in our conversation today, you and I, is how can we change some of the ways that we address our audience? How can we be more intentional? Have that single listener point, like at the central part of what we're doing? And will we change anything by refocusing how we speak to the audience that's listening and how we include them in what we do? Curious if you'd make any changes. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I have time with you. And I just need to tell you that, over these last, I don't know, this is episode 454. Over the last 500 plus episodes, because I have so many things going on right now, that I just wanted to connect with you. I just wanted to say thank you for being here. If you've been here for many episodes, or if this is your first episode, I just want you to understand that I value all of you equally. And I'm just grateful that you're here. So you and I, grab a coffee, grab a beverage or something. Let's just have a few moments together. And again, thank you for pressing play. I listen to podcasts, like a lot of podcasts. And I listen to a lot of podcasts about podcasting. I kind of want to keep my thumb on what's happening in the space and what people are talking about. There's a lot of people who are trying to sell you something, which we haven't been doing on this show, really, at all. There's a lot of people who will tell you that you're not a true podcaster if you're not at this level, if you don't have this many listeners, if you don't have this many interactions, if you're not making this much money. The true success of a podcast is it becomes a business. And there's a lot of noise in the podcasts about podcasting space. I want this show to be different. I want this show to be something that builds you up, never making you feel like you're not good enough in podcasting, never making you feel like you're not at the right level to continue, and never making you feel inadequate. I feel inadequate. I have like over 2,000 episodes across all my different shows. I'm doing 10 to 12 episodes a week. And when I listen to these other shows, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like, and I know that sounds crazy to say that out loud, but I do feel like I could be doing so much better as a podcaster. I listen to people who have like millions of downloads. And it's funny because I think when people become, let's put quotes around this, successful as a podcaster, it elevates their personality. I was listening to one person talk recently. They are what you would call a truly successful podcaster. They were being interviewed on a show. I won't call them out because I don't want to be that guy. But the level of arrogance and entitlement that this person had, it just felt like we were lucky to have time with them because they're so successful. We were graced with their presence as mere mortals, that this podcasting superstar would lower themselves to come and speak to us, right? And as I listened to this, I'm like, I felt gross. I felt like, do you really feel that way? Do you really feel that you're on this mountain peak? The results speak for themselves. This person is successful. I can't argue that. But the humility wasn't there. Now, I don't know if that's a personality trait. I don't know if that's success talking. I hope that if any of my shows become quote unquote successful, that my humility and the Dave part of who I am remains intact. If you ever hear me being arrogant to a podcaster as a guest on their show, if you ever hear me coming off as entitled on this show, if you ever get even a slight smell of Dave puffing out his chest, I want you to reach out to me, and I want you to hold me accountable, because hearing that in real time last night at work, that I'm like, oh, I felt so inadequate. I felt so like, why am I doing this when that level of success I don't ever see in my future, really? Like, my podcasts are so niche that my audience is substantially smaller than that person's. And even with the greatest success possible, I'll never really hit those numbers because I don't have an audience that's looking at my content from a big group of people. It's just a smaller group of people that are interested in what I'm talking about. So there's no real way I'm going to go viral as a podcaster. And then I'm like, well, then I get back again. Am I back to my would I do it for one, my Appleseed, right? And, that the chasing of numbers, the chasing of analytics and vanity metrics of, look at me, I'm so super popular. I want every episode of my podcast to reach as many people as possible, just like you. But I don't want to be so driven by what I call success, or what you call success, or what the gurus call success, that I lose sight of who I'm talking to. You. You're here. Now, again, would I record this episode if only one person listened? That would be deemed a failure by many people. I am not a top 100 podcast. I'm not. So am I failing? Because other podcasts about podcasting would say that this is a failure show because I haven't reached the top 100 podcast status. So do I pack it in? Or does talking to one person still matter to me? Does talking to one person, does that matter to you? The fact that one person pressed play and you look in your stats and go, put all that work in and just one person, right? You're the just in that sentence, just one person. We talked about this at the Pod Match thing a while back for Podcasting Made Simple event that we did. And stop looking at the empty seats and look at the seats that have people in them and focus on them. Don't focus on who you're not reaching. Focus on who you are. And I think, again, as we use group speak, so when we say, hey, everybody, I do that sometimes. Hey, everybody. Hey, y'all, for my Southern American folks. Hey, y'all. I like when you guys do that. When we talk about everything in group terms, we negate the opportunity to talk to one person, the audience of one. I can pretty well guarantee whatever you're doing right now in the moment, there's not a group of people listening to this, for the most part. Probably pretty rarely is there a group of people gathered around listening together as a bunch of people listening to me at once. It's kind of a solo experience, you and I. You might be walking right now and just watch your step. You might be working in the garden. You might be on your way to work right now. You might be, I don't know, sitting on the back deck having a coffee at the end of the day, trying to wind down. You might be driving. Like whatever you're doing, we're doing it together. And when we focus on the larger group speak, we kind of divorce ourselves from our relationship with that one person. So I'm asking you, where are you on this journey with your audience? How connected are you to that single person? And is it time to refocus again on that person? I don't know, just questions. It's just thoughts. And maybe there's a chance for us to do better as podcasters as we connect with our audience. Something to think about. For podcasters that seem to find themselves slipping into group speak, you remember, like I say, hey, everybody, hey you all, hey all, any of that kind of stuff. To everyone out there listening, things like that, right? When we slip into that group speak, it's time to rediscover the power of speaking directly to that individual listener, the audience of one. When you address your audience as you, not everyone, it creates a more deeper personal connection with the person that's listening. And this really can set your show apart from all of the other ones that are trying to entertain the masses. It also reinforces the fact that if you can speak to one, having one listen still matters. When you speak to many, you're looking for many people to listen, right? And that's a metric. That's a way to measure if you're being successful. When we talk to one and one person listens, then we met our goal, right? Like you meant to talk to one and one person pressed play. That's a success. That's a success metric that's not a failure because you're focused on one. If 10 people listen and you're speaking to one, you spoke to 10 people specifically, individually, and that's even better. That's great. I think we just need to rethink how we look at analytics and rethink how we look at success and what's motivating us to move forward with our show. A lot of people are wrestling with this right now. They want to get all of the big numbers, but they see a small audience as a dismal failure for their show. I think you got that wrong. I think you need to rethink this a little bit. We get a deeper personal connection with our audience as we talk to one instead of many. I got 4 things I kind of want to run through with you to kind of bring back that one-on-one style and strengthen your engagement and your loyalty with your audience between you and them and you. And the first is we need to deepen the listener connection by speaking directly to our audience. When you talk to one person rather than like a huge crowd, your listener feels more seen and valued and appreciated. And this really helps to build that trust and emotional attachment between you and your listener. It's a safe place for your audience. And I hear that from you listening to the show. I appreciate that you say that about this, about our meetups, all of those things that we do. It feels safe. You feel like you're in safe hands. And I appreciate that. That means a lot. That's kind of the tone of this show. When you use singular pronouns like you and your, and imagine speaking to just the person across the table from you, your approach changes. The script fades away in some cases, and you can just talk to your audience. If you're a heavily scripted show and you read word for word what you've pre-written on your show, and that's how you podcast, I want to challenge you to do maybe a short episode where you set the script aside, like I'm doing, and you talk to the audience as if they're right in front of you. It could be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 5 minutes. And there's some people like, I only interview people. I only script my show. Okay, that's fine. But what if you do one little episode where you just talk to the person who's been here forever and the person who just arrived? Those 2 people. And you just talk to them for a few minutes, show your appreciation, talk about where the podcast is at, where you're at, share a little bit about your life. Just something short. It doesn't have to be exhaustive, but just something that connects with people, that resets you and you go, okay, I remember. I'm talking to one person here. I'm not talking to this massive audience. I'm not speaking from a stage. I'm speaking to one person. That intimacy and that we have through podcasting, and remind yourself that each person matters to you. Each person that presses play matters. And again, even if one person listens to this episode, it's still worth your time and effort. Deepen your listener connection by speaking directly to that listener who's here with you right now. And the second one, I would say, is to transform passive listening into more active engagement. When we speak to the group as a whole, it can encourage your audience to kind of tune out a little bit because you're not really talking to me, You're talking to everybody. And in that moment, I don't feel like I'm special to you as a podcaster. I feel like I'm part of your community, which is great. We want community. But I don't feel like you're talking directly to me. And I'm fighting to find relevance. I'm fighting to feel like I'm important to you as a listener. I feel like I have to fight through all of the noise and everyone else clamoring for your attention as a podcaster to catch your eye, to catch your attention. But when a podcaster turns their attention towards me, I feel like I'm the star of the show, that I am your main focus. Even when you have a guest, even when you have a series, even when you have a special thing you're talking about, you turn to me and you address me for who I am, the bond is strengthened in that moment. When you use one-on-one language, listeners are more likely to respond, to reflect, to take action on what you're putting in front of them as a listener. They feel more included, and they feel like, again, you're personally addressing them. They're not just treated as a number on your analytics. They're treated as a human being. And in this world full of fake everything, it's nice to have somebody who talks to you directly. That's where the companionship in podcasting lies. That's where the bond is strengthened. And that's what keeps people coming back to your show. If you want people to engage with your show and your engagement metrics, however you measure engagement, SpeakPipe messages, buy me a coffee, emails, DMs, whatever. If your engagement isn't where it's at, maybe you're not engaging that one person. Maybe you're engaging the group. And because you're engaging the group, there's the ability to blend into the group. And I don't have to do it because everyone else is doing it, I assume. So I don't have to leave you a review because everyone else is probably doing it. What does it matter? I don't have to give you a 5-star rating on Spotify because everyone else is doing it. I don't have to jump in the comments. She's getting massive comments. I don't need to be a part of this. They know that I like them. And because I'm thinking as a group. But when I say to you, I read every single comment on Spotify and respond in this episode and all the other episodes. So if you want to speak to me through comments, and you'll get notified when I respond, I will respond in the comments on YouTube. I respond to every comment that is put into any episode. I watch it like a hawk because anytime I can talk to you directly is like the main reason I do this. You're my priority, not the stats, not a sponsor, not even the content. You are the priority for my show. And I hope you're feeling that. And if you're not feeling that, I got to do some more work. So that's my priority for my shows. All 9 of them is you as the listener. Is it your priority? Are you focused on that? Maybe not. If not, this isn't meant to be judgmental by any means. It's meant to be a reset button to go, wait a minute. Maybe I could do better here. Maybe I can really focus in, hone in on these people and serve them better if I focus on the one instead of the many. It's a great way to get that engagement up. So if you feel like your engagement's low, then what engagement are you giving out before you receive? Maybe there's a miss. And maybe that's why your engagement numbers are lower. We need to enhance the authenticity and relatability of your show with your audience of one. When you have a conversation with one person as a listener on your show, it feels more genuine, more conversational, more authentic, and less pre-recorded, more in the moment. It invites your audience to connect with your story, with your advice, in your message in a really deep and personal way. this style fosters this vulnerability and realness, the reality of this conversation and this companionship, even though we have probably never met, because again, only 1, 2, 3% of my audience will ever reach out to me. The likelihood of you reaching out to me, I understand, is pretty slim. But by enhancing this authenticity about what I do and really being an authentic human who cares deeply about you, your podcast, your journey, and just being relatable. You hearing what I do, watching what I do on my show, through meetups, through the podcast, through how I show up. This is meant to be more than just words. It's meant to be demonstrations for you on how to podcast. That's why I have that name. It's the only podcast called the How to Podcast series. For that reason, I want you to see in different ways and different series and different approaches how to podcast. It's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to demonstrate for you. When we are vulnerable and real, it helps you stand out in a crowded podcast landscape where everybody's chasing their own tails. Everyone's chasing trends and topics in the news and trying to win the algorithm and all that stuff. When we focus on the one person, you stand out because it's not sexy to record an episode for one person and hope for one listen. That doesn't sell books. That doesn't get you on stages to speak at a podcast conference. That makes people laugh at you when you have a small audience. They're like, look at you failing. Ugh, you're not a top 100 podcast. What a terrible show. And I'm like, is that really the main focus? Like, do we have to reach that number to be a success? What if we only have 5 listens and we stay at that and plateau for months? Is it time to hang it up, or is it time to focus on the 5 that listen every episode? Like, where is your motivation? Where's your breaking point? This podcast is working. This podcast is not working. And would you disappoint 5 people if you gave up? I think you would. They chose you. They could choose anybody else, but they chose you. So are you letting them down? And are you getting down on yourself and it's showing up in your voice? Is it showing up in your content? Is it showing up, and is your audience picking up on the fact that you're disappointed with your own show? I can hear it in your voice. And I feel sorry for you in that moment because you've taken your eyes off the one and you're fixating on the many. And I get it. If you're going to do a podcast around your business, you want to reach many people, you're going to get a sponsor. That's a different conversation than what I'm saying right now. And I don't want to negate that at all. That's one path. But these very small, minute amount of podcasters that make money in that way by getting a sponsor and selling ads, there's a very tiny sliver of podcasts that are successful in that way. You know what proof? Watch for all the big podcasting companies that have those big shows. What happens? They have a team of 100, 200, 300 people. They produce episodes and podcasts. And what happens when they don't make money? They fire everybody. They close up shop and they move on to the next shiny thing because podcasting doesn't work. Podcast is dying. You hear that stuff in the news. They're focused on the big numbers and the big return. You and I are part of the 80, 90% of podcasters who may never make a single penny, dollar, pound, quid, ever. We are the majority. We're not the minority. If you go to a podcasting conference, you're going to feel like the minority because everybody's talking numbers and sponsorship. There's ads, there's people selling stuff. But when you walk in with your 5 listeners and you've been doing this for 2 years, they look at you like, you're in the wrong place. We're not interested in your audience. 5 people? Are you kidding me? You need 100,000 downloads an episode in 7 days if I want to talk to you. Whoa. Right? You're like, yeah, I feel like I'm in the wrong place. You realize that person trying to make you feel small is talking to a very tiny sliver of podcasts. They are ignoring the 80 to 90% of podcasters who will never make a penny from their show, ever. They'll never make any money. They're like you and me, independent podcasters who don't have a boss, who don't have somebody breathing down your neck, telling you what you can and can't say, scripting your content for you, pushing you towards the mic and telling you to do it again because it wasn't good enough. That's called radio. And we don't have that. You need to be real and authentic on your podcast. We need to foster loyalty and leverage word of mouth growth for our podcasts. So one of the things I was doing for a while that I was playing with, I tried it, and some people would say it actually failed on the show, is I was doing like a question of the month. I'd pose a question at the end of the month for the next upcoming month, and I'd ask you to respond. And at first, I got a good handful of people responding on a regular basis. You know who you are, and I love you for being a part of it. But over time, it just seemed to lose its luster, and people just, less and less people responded. Some people just totally forgot, and which is fine. We're all busy people. I get that. But I would do like a combined response episode, bringing in everybody's voices from SpeakPipe. I'd bring in a little clip from your podcast. And again, I was clear and upfront. The idea of that question of the month was really not about the question and really not about your answer, but celebrating your podcast. I wanted people to hear about you and your show. That was the intent. And by doing that, it was based on word of mouth growth for your show. I wanted people to hear your voice, connect with you, click the link, and go to your show. The question and the answer was just a reason to talk about you. And I'm sad that it didn't work. Because I loved creating those episodes. They were bonus episodes. They weren't like a numbered episode like this one. It was just something extra. I wanted to serve you, and I was hoping it would really catch on, and it didn't. One day, maybe I'll bring it back. I'll try again, but in the moment, the results weren't there to satisfy the amount of effort it took to pull that episode together. A lot of effort, a lot of editing, a lot of time to do that. It was a labor of love. I love doing it. I love the result of people hearing about you, but people just lost interest for whatever reason. And it's sad because I really wanted that to take off. I really wanted that to be a main feature of this show, was people celebrating each other's podcast, and this being a community-based approach to podcasts about podcasting. Because I don't see a lot of podcasts about podcasting that's community-based, where you hear multiple voices, different opinions, and different approaches to podcasting, and celebrating each other. I think we all need to share each other's show, promote each other, be a cheerleader for each other. I don't see it happening on a regular basis. There's little sparks here and there, but a consistent celebration of each other's shows, I don't see it to the level that I'd love to see it. And that was my attempt with my question of the month. And again, it didn't have the results, and so we stopped it. I think that word of mouth growth is not dead. I think it still matters that people talk about podcasting, that people talk about their favorite podcasts to each other, and people talk to people who don't listen to podcasts about why podcasts are important. There's so many people that I know who have sweet clue what I do. They don't even know what a podcast is. And we're in 2025. Like, come on, it's been like 20 years. And people have zero idea what it is. It's just not their thing. They don't understand what's available to them because nobody's really showed it to them. Nobody's really demonstrated to them what a podcast is. It's very personal. It's very non-public. The fact that you're listening to this right now with your headphones on, and somebody sitting beside you has no idea if you're listening to Ariana Grande or you're listening to Dave. They have no idea. So podcasting is super personal, and people don't share podcasts as much as from a listener's perspective to other people who could be listening. So we need to foster loyalty within our audience, and that word of mouth growth opportunity needs to be front and center. Listeners that feel personally connected to you as a podcaster are more likely to become loyal fans of your show, share your podcast with others without even being asked, without any call to action. They're going to do it anyway because they love what you do and who you are. By focusing on the experience of the one listener instead of the group, you're demonstrating that every download isn't a statistic. It's an actual person. One person that you care about serving, inspiring, and engaging. I think you're using your downloads incorrectly. Instead of it being a measurement of how your podcast is not comparing to others and not performing as well as someone else's show, I think you're missing the opportunity to say, hey, one person listened. I'm not a failure. One person found value in this, and that's the one person I wanted to reach. Now I need to find out who they are, and I want to have a conversation with them. So as you listen to this, I want you to know I'm looking for you. I'm looking for a way to find you. And that's not meant to be creepy. It's meant to be, my goal is to meet you virtually, emails, SpeakPipe, DMs, buy me a coffees, whatever it is. I want to meet you because you're really important to me. The fact that you found this show and that you found this podcast out of all of the other podcasts, I want to know how you found it so that I can do more of this. The fact that you're here is proof that it works. The fact that you're still listening is proof that this show has value. So whatever it is that brought you here, whatever it is that made you curious enough to press play on this episode, especially if you're brand new. If you're brand new and you're still listening to this, my gosh, I'm looking to talk to you. There's a reason you're still here. So without creeping you out, I'm not going to be hiding in the bushes outside your house, but I'm going to be trying everything I can to find you. And I would love to hear from you. I know you hear this on podcasts all the time. I truly want to hear you. I want to hear from you. I want time with you. I want to encourage you. I want to hear your story. I'm not here to sell you something. I want to connect with you. That's why I podcast. It's why I do this. I could be doing something else right now. This is why I do this, is because you are the most important part of my day. And making this podcast is super important to me because it's serving you. We need to get back to the basics about podcasting. We need to speak as though there's only just you and your listener in the room. You will build a stronger, more loyal community, one listener, one episode at a time. Any other focus is going to lead you to vanity metrics, chasing the algorithm, trying to be bigger than somebody else's show, and getting down on yourself when you look at a small audience and go, I'm not successful. I'm not a top 100 podcast, so I better pack it in. These 30 people who show up for me every episode, they're not worth it. I'm done. That's what you're saying. And you're looking over the heads of people who love you and hyper-focusing on the people who have no sweet clue who you are or don't like your show, and you're trying to convince people to come to your podcast. Well, you're ignoring the people sitting there going, why aren't you talking to me? I'm here. I press play. Don't I matter to you? Like, why are you so focused on everybody else who's not here? It's time to focus on the people who are. That's your priority. And maybe we've all forgotten about that. Maybe we've got caught up in the metrics. Maybe we've listened to the wrong guru who has told us that if we don't hit this number by this date, by this time frame, we are not a success. Podcasting is about people. It's about you as the host of the show. And it's about that one person who picked you over every other option in the world. They chose you. And we need to value that one person. It's focusing on the one. Where's your focus? Your next episode. Who are you talking to? Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Glad to have you all here. Hey, all. Or, hey, thank you for pressing play on this podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Like, you and I are going to have a great conversation today. I was thinking about you when I saw this article. This thing popped up on my TikTok, and the first thing I thought about was you. I'm like, I got to tell you about this. It's like the coolest thing. I read this book, and while I'm reading it, I know that you are going to love this book. I wouldn't tell you about this book unless it really mattered. You got to go grab the copy of this book. I think you would love this. Do you hear the language? If you've lost that loving feeling for your audience and you're getting enamored by the big numbers, my challenge to you is to stop and go, am I on the right path? Or am I getting sucked into what those gurus say that are the success of my podcast? You might be more successful than you think. It's an audience of one, not an audience of many. When you focus on an audience of one, it will become an audience of many, but never stop talking to the audience of one. And to you, listening to this, still thank you for being part of the How to Podcast series. I would love to talk to you. Reach out anytime. Keep podcasting, keep doing what you're doing, keep showing up for your audience. They love you. They adore what you do, and you are their companion in life. That's the power of podcasting. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar. And I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comments section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need this show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast, so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So, howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening.